Good day, friends. Welcome back to the series. This is video 6, where we go through the ground up accessory dwelling unit builds of these two ADUs behind me. Feel free to like and subscribe if it brings you value. We're teaching you how to build your own ADU, or at least understand what you're paying your contractor for. We're really glad to have you on the channel. 2, 3. Super busy job site today. We've got nail gun music in the background, the compressor's roaring, and we're getting stuff done. I've had a few people ask me about the loft detail and loft design, so I'll kind of walk through this little 1-1 ADU and talk about that. This is our one-wall kitchen. This is our bathroom. It's a large opening now because this will be a pocket door frame. And then our loft is up here, and all it is the ceiling of the bedroom and the ceiling of the bathroom. We're gonna lay BCI's engineered I-beams across this section, and then we're gonna deck that. So the bottom of the BCI is gonna act as a ceiling of the bathroom and the bedroom, and then the top we're gonna deck out with 7/8 OSB floor sheathing, and we'll create a loft. It's almost free space. The design of this unit has the clearance from the floor of the loft to the bottom of the beam at 6 foot 6 inches, so even a tall person can stand up in the center of the loft and not hit their head. The other option we would have would be to do dormers on the side, where you would get more space, say like a 5-foot knee wall, and dormer up so you could walk almost to each exterior wall, but it's quite a bit larger of an expense. So we're just choosing to go with a simple gable detail and then a loft within that gable. It kind of gives you the A-frame feel, but it's a really good product and it doesn't cost any more money to do it. Here behind us is the patio space between the two units. We went with 8 feet of separation, so there's not gonna be any sound issues. There's gonna be a 6-0 slider that comes out onto this concrete patio, and it'll be a nice little exterior seating area for that tenant. There's more to keeping your job on schedule than just what we see so far in the series, and that stuff is worth mentioning. So I'm waiting for the power company to come drop power for us. I'm in contact with the gas utility to set up a gas service agreement to bring us meters, talking to the lumberyard, talking to your subcontractors, trying to manage the schedule, and it's only fair that we share that stuff too, even though you can't see it. Put in our first 2x12 roof rafter up on the front ADU. We got Chris up on the 12-footer. This is a step that's really easy to forget, but we're stoked to have Eli from AA Insulation, and he's doing our insulation behind the tub. So the plumber's gonna want to set the fiberglass when he shows up in a few days, and if we don't have insulation behind the tub, it's going to be really hard to get it in there. We're always kind of juggling what needs to be done with the weather. We wouldn't want to do this if there was rain coming without the roof on, but we're pushing through. This is why we pay PK the big money, because he's laying out the roof rafters. Not a lot of carpenters these days can cut and stack a roof. 38 years of experience helps. Also, while Eli was out here, he threw insulation in a couple other spots where we have a channel. In other words, an area where there's backing on the inside of the framed wall, and we're going to sheet the exterior. We don't want to create what's called a cold corner or a cold pocket by sheeting over an area that we won't be able to get insulation in. We also had Eli throw insulation up here. This is where our mini split is gonna get mounted. In an 800 square foot ADU, we could probably put 2 heads in, but it's another $3,100 to double the system. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one large head, a 24,000 BTU, but it's strategically placed right here where it's gonna shoot down the hall. The air flow is gonna generate into the bedrooms. We can also direct the fins. Not only do the louvers adjust up and down, but you can also adjust them side to side. So we'll be able to hit this whole unit with one head here. That's the idea, at least. We'll see. Another piece of efficiency standard here, we have insulation behind our tub shower surround area, and then we use an 1/8" masonite that's all sealed and caulked in, so there's gonna be an airtight seal behind the tub. It's really easy to forget to do this, and the insulators will be mad at you because they can't really get insulation behind the tub. Steve's gonna set these framing members right down beside the building so we don't have to carry them very far. If you have a good relationship with the lumberyard or the boom truck driver or both, you can have them set your ridge beams. We can do this with a beam lift or a bunch of manpower, but if we can get the truck out here while they're already dropping off some material to set our beams, it's really gonna save our backs. Steve's gonna work his magic here and thread the needle. Hopefully keep it out of the power lines. You got it, Steve. Easy money here. Swinging around 90 degrees. Just making this look easy. So far away, we almost need to get Steve a pair of binoculars so he can see what's going on. Reese is up there with the gun. He's gonna tack it into place. Thanks, Steve. Pete opted to go with scaffolding for this job, so 2 stacks, 2 planks of scaffolding are gonna make access up to this ridge beam for rolling out the roof a lot easier. If you don't own scaffolding, you can rent them. It's about $100 a day to have these on site and really make the work for the guys a lot easier. So right after Steve set the beam with the boom truck, these guys made quick work of the roof. I'll make sure to get a few good shots of the 2x12s going up on the back unit. But we'll walk around inside and talk about the detail of using a supporting ridge beam and using a stick frame roof with 2x12s like we've done here. Starts with pre-cutting everything. So after PK made the template, we cut all of the rafters. These are for the back unit, but the same rules apply to the front. So we have our outrigger slots here. These are gonna hold our barge rafters. That's why the outermost rafters have these pocket cuts in them. And on the end here, we have the prefabricated tails that we cut down to 2x6. And then once they're up, we'll snap a line and then come back through and bob all these off plumb. So this is what the rafter looks like once it's put up on the roof. We hold the rafters up 1.5 inches above our supporting ridge beam, and that's for airflow. And we'll go over the airflow detail when we talk about the vaulted ceiling inside. We got Pete and Reese working on the balloon framed interior walls. So anytime a wall goes all the way up to the ceiling, there's not a break at 8 or 10 feet, that's called a balloon. You can see these 2x6 members go from the bottom plate all the way up to the top plates. Up here we have our 2x12s fastened to the supporting engineered ridge beam with 2 back nails and then 2 toenails on each side. You notice the nice tight cuts. That's on a 612. That is the roof rolled out on the front ADU. I came across the street for 2 reasons. One was to get a little shade. It's super hot out here today. And 2, the music is blasting. I don't know what it is with easygoing love songs and oldies, but gotta love these guys. There are 2 choices for your vaulted ceiling roof rafters. You can use dimensional lumber, what we're using here, 2x12s. We need a minimum depth of 12 inches to get the required R38 insulation. The other option would be to use an engineered product like those BCIs that we use for the floor. But when you use those, you have to laminate the ends and add tails to them because they're ornated strand board, not solid, so they can't be exposed to weather. You also have to use really expensive engineered brackets up at the ridge beam. So we like to go with, well, the framers don't like it because it's heavy, but I like to go with the full dimensional 2x12s. One thing that we do get with those, if we look up these bays, you can see there's some deflection. They're only spanning about 16 feet, which is not overspanned at all, but you can see them side to side. So when we sheet this roof with 5/8 OSB or 5/8 CDX, excuse me, we'll have to straighten out these big long roof rafter spans. Once we get a couple sheets nailed off, they'll straighten back out. Got Chris up here nailing off blocks, wearing proper eye and ear protection, of course. The loft floor is coming together. So the back half of this unit, the back 12 feet, are gonna be lofted space. We got PK cutting the 7/8 OSB, and then up top here, we're using BCIs to span from one side of the exterior top plate to the other side. No job site is complete without a dog. Hi, Nina. Nina, Nina. Good girl.
To the bottom, Mark?
Good girl. We're just clicking away here, sheeting the front part of the front ADU. We've got Reese up top crawling around like a monkey doing the outriggers. Those 2x4s are gonna hang out and hold the finished barge rafter. Those components might be called different things in different areas. A few things that are going on behind the scenes. Our windows should be showing up either today or tomorrow. I don't think I mentioned that early on in the process, but right when you get your plans approved and you pick them up is the time you need to start thinking about ordering windows and ordering appliances and ordering some of your finishes. It's nice to have all that stuff if you have a spot to store it, just sitting on the job site waiting. There's nothing worse than getting to a point where you're ready for the next product and you don't have it and you're waiting for it. So a couple of tips while we're framing here. Hopefully we're gonna get this thing sheeted today. We'll get some house wrap on it and then we'll be putting in windows in the next couple of days. Quite a bit of pickup framing still here. The plumbers were supposed to come tomorrow to do top out and we're not quite ready, so I'm gonna push them by 2 days. And our roofer is supposed to be here on Friday, so we'll see if we can make it. It's getting tight this week. Got this gable end wall being sheeted behind us. There's 2 ways to do it. You can either sheet it all on the floor and then use wall jacks to stand the wall up pre-sheeted, or what we're doing here is sheeting it in place. Takes a little bit longer. I'd prefer to do it on the ground, but PK's got his system and that's what they're doing. What's going on, Reese?
I'm just making sure the walls are square and level. No, I'm doing the beam pockouts. We're gonna have some beams coming out supporting a gable roof, and we're gonna pocket the beams in, so I'm preparing that at the moment.
Okay, awesome. And then what else is going on up top here on the...
Well, Susie said she was gonna come by about, no, up top, so we gotta finish our backing, put our lookouts in. We're gonna cut it back for our fascia so it's all nice and straight. We like cutting it when it's up and then there's no variations in it. And a lot of work to be done.
Cool.
We're waiting for our posts, so we can't really set our beams. So one thing you're gonna have to watch out for is the supply chain. Whatever you need isn't always available, so you gotta calculate that in there.
Getting some interior production going on here. Nailing together the bathroom wall. We've got these balloon framed bedroom walls and closet walls in place. Chris is over on the back side, nailing off gable sheathing, pecking away. These balloon frame walls here are supporting the ridge and the roof. That's why we don't have a large glulam beam in this unit like we will next door, because we have these balloon framed walls supporting all the weight. Getting the interior wall set. Progress today, we're gonna sheet the roof. So we've got the sheathing coming. Reese is up there. We put a few sheets down first so we can put bunks down. It's a 4-foot long 2x4 with a 24-inch drop. That's gonna give us a perfect level platform on this 612 roof. So when Steve shows up in the boom truck, he can set our plywood down on the roof and we don't have to physically lift every piece up there. We want to work smarter when we can. It's not always easy to do that, but we are a little bit ahead of the lumber truck, so we're doing that now. We're gonna set, I don't know, 28 sheets of 5/8 OSB. The sheathing detail on the roof, we use 5/8 plywood. You can use ornated strand board. It's a little cheaper, but plywood I feel is a better product. And then we use a BC, a nicer grade plywood on the eaves because it's gonna be exposed from the underside and painted. The 5/8 today, this is early summer of 2023. I think we paid 26 bucks a sheet for 5/8 CDX, and the 5/8 BC that we're using on the edges is about $60 a sheet. But we only needed, 6 or 7 sheets to do both buildings. I want to take a second to talk about the vaulted roof. One thing we have to have in a vaulted roof is airflow. Each individual bay of this roof, both ADUs have to be ventilated. And what we do is we use that 2x12 roof rafter that we talked about earlier in the series. And now we're gonna bring air in from the eaves. It's gonna circulate up through each bay of the roof and go out a ventilated ridge cap. And there's 2 options. Usually we use these prefabricated bird blocks that have a net behind them. That's a good, clean craftsman look. I really like them, but what we found in our area is that the birds are attracted to these. Even if we put 1/4 inch hardware wire over these where they'll never get in on either side or both, they still will perch. It's like the most inviting thing ever. I mean, it's like the front door of a bird condo. So this round, we've transitioned over to a core event product. So this is just fall off blocking 2x6 that we rip down to 4 5/8, and then we put this plastic corrugated honeycomb material. I simply just I'm stapling it on with 1/2-inch crown staples. And what that does is when the plywood goes down, this is your air intake. So the two options for venting would be either some kind of bird block like this or this core event product to get airflow in from the eave. As the heat rises, it's gonna go out the ventilated ridge. And we'll talk more about that when we go inside. Here's an example of the core event air intake. So the top inch of these edge blocks is gonna allow air to come in. We want air to circulate above our insulation and below our roof decking. So if there's a temperature change, the condensation buildup is on the outside of the building. Also, it keeps the roof from getting too hot and shortening the life of the composition shingles. As we finish up this roof behind me for the small porch that Pete and Reese are framing, I want to talk about being hands-on or being hands-off. So I'm a doer, I'm a worker bee. It's really hard for me to stay detached. Ideally, I want to be working on the business, not in the business, but I can't help myself. I'm crawling around on the roof, I'm running around using the nail gun. Just understand that the sweat equity you put in is not free. All the work that we put in ourselves is going to keep our costs down, but don't be afraid to go to your real job and make your living and pay the professionals. A lot of people ask me how I build so affordably, and a lot of it has to do with using my own hands. So just tattling on myself, I'm trying to do less of that on this job. It's not working very well. We're stoked to have the power company here doing our power drop survey out on the street and deciding if there's enough capacity within the transformers to bring us service. What we're going for, what we're wanting is 2 separate 200 amp services to the back corners of these buildings. Thanks friends again for sticking around to the end of this video. If you didn't catch the first 5 videos in the series, check those out as well. They're attached to the playlist below. Have a great day.